Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. And welcome back to another movie review. A regular, normal movie review, not after I saw for a new movie.
Okay, technically it's kind of after I saw because I just saw this in the theater for its 25th anniversary. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both.
And it's strange because there was a time where during my younger years, my teen years, I reviewed movies every single day. Every single movie I had in my collection, I just picked it up, watched it, then reviewed it after. I did that a lot, but because I don't really have that much time in the world anymore, the fact that I have a job, a place to keep clean, and the fact that, the older you get, the harder life gets, unfortunately, I don't really have time to do videos every single day like I used to. But I don't know, after seeing this movie that I haven't seen in years, I suddenly felt nostalgic and wanted to review it for some reason, because this was one of those movies I never reviewed when I was younger. Like, I reviewed almost every single Pixar movie, every single, animated movie out there, a lot of kids' films, of course, horror and action, horror being my favorite genre of all time. But this was one movie I never talked about. This was a movie that I didn't even have in my collection. And there is a Blu-ray release, and I don't know. So I figure, since it's being re-released in the theater for its 25th anniversary, I was all like, why not relive those memories of watching this all the time? I had on VHS, popped it in, always had a good time watching it as a kid. But let's see how it changes my perspective as an adult. Of course, that movie being a Chicken Jockey. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to get over the stress of that, especially since a sequel for that movie's in the works. No, this is for Chicken Run. Chicken Run. Now, if you've never seen this movie before, and you should, it's a great movie, then the story is extremely simple. There is this dastardly couple called the Tweedies, as they run a chicken farm, and these chickens are tired of them being taken off one by one. Every time a chicken stops laying eggs for a week, they get taken away and killed. But it cranks up to 11 when Tweety wants to get rich and makes a machine that turns the chickens into pies. So they try escaping by flying, as they get the help of this rooster named Rocky, played by Mel Gibson, and from there, they are trying to escape. It's a very simple story, and it's one that has been, watched once in a while to, relive those memories of when stop motion was very creative, and still, to this day, it is. We don't get that much stop motion anymore. I mean, when this came out, it was big. It grossed, let me just look at the computer here, $224 million worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing, if not the highest grossing, stop motion animation film of all time. And there hasn't been too many stop motion animated movies to reach those heights, which is a shame because there's so much creativity put in stop motion animation. The Wallace and Gromit shorts were very big, so they knew that if they made something original, it could probably bring in more audiences, and it did. Like I mentioned before, with the amount of money that it made, and it has become a classic. And for good reason. Watching this as a kid, it's fun for some pure entertainment of, these chickens wanting to escape, but watching it as an adult, you start to understand that this is a lot more than just, a simple story about chickens wanting to escape a farm. But of course, they need their freedom, especially since, of course, now I'm not saying that I'm never going to eat chicken ever again. I'm just saying that this is the type of movie that may want to make people stop wanting to eat chickens, especially since they're going to make them into pie. You'll probably never see a chicken pot pie ever the same way again, especially with those heads sticking out. Yeah, it's quite disturbing. In fact, for G-rated territories, yeah, this still managed to push the limits just by a little bit. While watching the movie, I could have sworn they used the word hell. I'm not sure if it was just me, but hey, it would make sense. Ratatouille used the word hell, and that came out in 2007 and was G-rated. But of course, especially since now, of course, if you haven't seen the movie, there will be spoilers. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. So, yeah, because near the beginning of the movie, Tweety kills one of the chickens off screen, picks up an axe, and then later on, you see that chicken's dead body with the remains of the chicken that they ate. So, Yeah, this movie packs in no punches when it comes to, pushing a little bit of its limits because, yeah, it can be quite disturbing. Not too disturbing, though. It's pretty much like that, just that one scene alone. But still, the fact is, even though all these characters are chickens, you really start to feel for them because, they have unique personalities behind them, especially since, all these characters, they're witty, they're wacky, they have good charm to them. They really show that, they try to make these characters pretty well fleshed out. Of course, there isn't like massive character development with their backstory, but you never really needed that. But of course, the standout alone is, of course, Mel Gibson as the rooster Rocky. Of course, having a big part trying to teach them how to fly when really he's kind of scared too because none of them know why he's actually, why he was flying in the air in the first place. And of course, the animation, it still looks absolutely phenomenal. I always asked myself, how were they able to take all these frames without managing to screw up one single frame? Because that's the talent behind this. We're living in a day and age where they're trying to experiment with AI, but in reality, it just doesn't top traditional animation, whether it be hand drawn or CG. The fact is, these people worked hard with their hands to create these puppets, and they all look fantastic. The designs for the chickens, they look simple enough. And again, the story is very basic, but the movie manages to be fun, making its hour and 24 runtime go by super fast, and times where, I would have liked if it lasted a little longer. I guess another thing I should probably mention is the logic, because towards the end of the movie where, yes, another big spoiler, where Tweety is trying to, climb up and, slice Ginger's head off with the axe. She thinks she cuts her head off, but instead she accidentally cuts the wire that was holding onto them. Ginger holds one piece and holds the other one where Tweety's hanging off of. How is she that strong? Like that's something that I've always wondered. How is she that strong, like without struggling? And then it didn't last too long, but I don't know. I kind of found that a little bit funny. So yeah, watching things as an adult, like in terms of animation, you can definitely know some of the logic doesn't always make sense, especially when it comes to the Tweety's relationship. I mean, Mrs. Tweety treats Mr. Tweety horribly. Like there's not a single time where, she's nice to him, but that's what makes her diabolical. She's the real main villain. And while Mr. Tweety he's more the sidekick. Hell, I mean, she calls her company Mrs. Tweety's Pies because, well, it's kind of a silly reason, but I always thought it was funny. The movie always managed, to add in those jokes that I feel like adults are going to understand a lot more, especially later on during the middle of the movie where, they're having conversations in the penthouse. It was always really funny to see. And I was all like, okay. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't get this as a kid. So, yeah, you really got to appreciate the fact that, while it's a simple story, kids can have fun with it, but watching it as an adult, you get the meaning behind it. It's about, freedom and the fact that while, of course, carnivores will always be carnivores, but that doesn't mean chickens aren't creatures too. So it's a nice story about, wanting, freedom, even if it isn't just about the chickens, like freedom in general. And the fact that, it has characters that I actually cared about. Like, I really liked how, Ginger and Rocky's relationship start off a little... I'm not going to say Rocky because, But of course, it slowly starts coming in, and the relationship starts to get a little bit more. I actually kind of felt that. Watching it as an adult, because, it's simple, but of course really manages to work. And it's all thanks to the terrific performances and voice acting. The entire story is basic, but watching it at this age, it definitely makes me appreciate where it all managed to go. There is a meaning behind it, and to me, those are the animated movies that, I think about the most. Even if it always feels simple, but they always manage to know how to still make it smart. And Aardman's managed to do that. They're, masters when it comes to stop motion animation. When it comes to claymation, bringing their work to life, the fact that Wallace and Gromit started off with shorts, then they started making movies, and they managed to, go on, and the fact that, they made animated movies that not many people remember. Like, I liked Early Man, but I didn't love it. But it's a shame that, when it comes to Aardman nowadays, they just, I don't know, they're focusing more on sequels now. But hey, the new Wallace and Gromit movie was fantastic. But in the end, guys, Chicken Run, it still holds up. It's a movie that I was very fond of, as a kid, just always remembering, those times I always popped the VHS in, just to have some fun watching these chickens try to escape. But watching it as an adult, you really got to appreciate for what the film goes for. It's about, freedom. It's about, feeling bad for chickens. It's not always going to make people want to stop eating chicken, but it's something that you can appreciate. The fact that there are some people out there that don't want to eat meat in general. It's not supposed to win every single carnivore over, but it's definitely a movie that you can appreciate for what the film is going for. It has likable characters, humor that is absolutely spot on, even watching it as an adult. It really makes for a fun time, even after 25 years. Peter Lord and Nick Park, I definitely feel like they were definitely proud of this one, and as an audience member, can enjoy it as a kid, but enjoy it even more as an adult. I'm also aware that there is a sequel to this movie that came out on Netflix called Dawn of the Nugget. I haven't seen it. I've heard it was not as good as the original, but still decent enough, so maybe one of these days I might check it out. So yeah, let me ask you a question. What was your favorite film from Aardman? I'm having a hard time deciding between Curse of the Were-Rabbit and Shaun the Sheep movie. I don't know. I'm kind of split on what it is, but the fact is, I'm glad that Aardman's still around. It shows that, how much talent they managed to bring in. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And I'll see you guys later. Word out.